to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the D13 Biblical Adventures translucent red and green demons that were exclusive to PowerCon 2023. Huge shout out to Jeff and Erica for hooking me up. They made it to PowerCon, I did not, so they offered to pick up some of the exclusives. I asked them, hey, can you grab those D13 figures too? And they were very kind enough to pick these up for me. So thank you to Jeff and Erica, because without you, I would not have these figures. One thing to note about this release is that the actual Kickstarter wave is not due out until the end of 2023. And this is sort of an early preview look. I wouldn't call them test shots or, pre-production figures, but they're almost along that line where Chris wanted to just, have something special for fans who checked out the booth at PowerCon. So we had this run of this particular demon. It's basically the demon 2-pack with a few little different changes, but he had these in this specific colorway exclusive to PowerCon. And these might not be finalized. There might be some little quirky issues and things because, again, he's still deep into the production process, the checking and the tests, and, the molds might not even be finished. I would imagine most of the tooling is, complete on these, but it might be some articulation, some tolerances, maybe some plastics, things like that. And as I'm reviewing the figure, I'll mention any of the little issues, and we'll see if I can get that feedback over to Chris. He probably already knows this is his literal job. He is a production manager, in his day job at Four Horsemen Studios. So most of the things I mentioned, I'm sure he's aware of, but I'll mention them anyways, just in case. And yeah, these figures are fantastic. The articulation is really good. I love all of the accessories, the different head sculpts, the, tons of different hands. You're going to get a feel so all of those Jesus figures, Moses, the angels, they all share this buck. So this really is a nice close look at what that buck is going to be. And he did blanks as well. So this whole line is really, it's based around this body. And so it's very exciting to get these in hand and get a taste, a feel for what this line is going to be. Zooming in for a close-up of the red demon, we have one of two head sculpts that came with this figure. The green one also came with two head sculpts. So if you bought both of these at the convention, then you got 4 different head sculpts. If you buy the 2-pack from the Kickstarter or, from Big Bad Toy Store or one of the retailers, then you also have access to 4 heads in that 2-pack. And then there's a couple of single releases and a few different versions and varieties of things. But they have the stone one that look like statues. They have the red demons. They're solid painted red, demons, and a few other ones too. I believe Chris refers to this one as the pig face, which is one of the images on the Duomo in Florence, if I'm not mistaken. So it's really cool. This line, it's biblical and it's, it's based on religious stuff, but it's also based on artwork, which is really cool to me. I lean into the art side and the literary side of things. I'm not terribly religious myself, but in terms of a literary line of action figures, that's what I'm really excited for. And so generally what we have here is a translucent red plastic throughout the entire figure. And then on top of that, you have shaded blacks that go into solid blacks on the head. The eyes on both figures are glow in the dark. They are different colors, slightly different colors. These have a little greenish, they both are yellow eyes, but the green one has a little more greenish eyes, and the red one has a little more orange eyes, which I think is appropriate. And then a lot of that same kind of paintwork goes into the wings, where you have that translucent red and then black on top of it, fading out to almost a solid black towards the tips. The wings are different on these. These ones almost feel more dragon-like, and then these ones almost feel more spirit-like, I guess, or bat wings and spirit wings or something like that. But yeah, so the wings are different as well as the heads. And you can kind of see a little bit of the articulation. You can see the ball joint down in the lower part of the chest, and then there's another ball at the upper top of the chest. You can see the pins, but there's no, when these are finished, there's going to be pinless elbows. You can only see them because you can see through the plastic to the joint. Then you got this fur-like piece around the hip area, and then a tail that I believe is glued into that piece. And then that piece is floating. So if you were to remove the legs, which I'm sure you could heat up, pop the legs off, you could remove that piece there and you'd have that blank buck. And then the hands also have black paint on them, and then fading down into some black in the feet. So overall, a really cool look, and something that is a little more interesting than just one solid color translucent figures. You know, it gives it a little bit of extra dynamism to have just that little touch of paint with blacks and the eyes and so on. And then just a little close up of that primary head on the green one and the wings on the green one as well. And everything else is the same sculpt, same everything. Zooming out, we've got a look at the overall silhouette of the figure, which I think is an excellent shape proportionally and a very versatile buck, which comes in at just over 6 inches tall. So this is right in that 1/12 scale. Definitely not as large as your 1.0 Mythic Legions figures, but still it's going to fit in with a lot of different 1/12 scale lines. Speaking of Mythic Legions, here are a couple 1.0 builds. These are kit bashes I put together for my Lord Bardrick, and they use cloth goods from Harker Customs. The Biblical Adventures figure is definitely more in line with the 2.0 Legions, just slightly shorter, but a similar kind of thinner frame and a slighter kind of build than the 1.0 Legions. And then here it is with a couple Marvel figures, Marvel Legends on the left and Classified on the right. And again, very much in that same range, 6-inch scale, 1/12 action figure. And here it is with my new obsession, the NECA Mirage Turtles. And here we have a couple Mezco Conan the Barbarian figures. And finally, a couple figures that I think fit perfectly with the demon here. And those are the slightly smaller Mezco Rumble Society figures. On the left, we have Articulation Duban, and on the right, we have Doc Nocturnal. For accessories, the Green Demon does come with these wings, which are a separate piece that you can move and detach. And then on the figure, it's got a pair of fists. It also has 2 pairs of gesturing hands, but none of the gestures are the same. So you have these two, you have a right and a left doing a couple different gestures. And then you have these two, the right hand is pretty much a relaxed hand, and the left hand is like could be gripping or clawing, and a pair of regular gripping hands. All of the hinges on all the sets of hands are horizontal. And then it does have this alternate head sculpt, so you can kind of see the difference between the two here. And yeah, so of the 2 figures, you have 4 different head sculpts, and these are the 2 that come with the green one. And then you have a spear with an energy effect on the tip, maybe like flames or something like that, and it's all clear. And then it does come with a peg stand. This one is the stonework. If you were to buy the 2-pack of demons, I believe it's the water, but then this pack comes with the stone here, and the one that looks like it's in sand. So it's got the stone and the sand, and then there's water, and then there's also just a blank flat stand as well among them. And you can see they do have the pegs there, and the pegs work just fine on these. So you can have them on there pegged into just one of the feet. So this having come with the red demon, we'll kind of continue with the accessories from the red demon. So he also comes with a pair of wings, and again, they are different from the wings that come in the green one. And then he's got this primary head sculpt and then this secondary head sculpt here. And the hands are all the same. They both come with all the same hands. And finally, we have this 2-pronged pitchfork, which is really demonic to me. This is like almost like demon horns type of pitchfork here. And again, it's just all clear plastic for this release. For articulation, the wings do each have a hinge here, but there's no twist because the peg has a shape to it there. So just those 2 hinges on those wings, but they move really well. There are 3 points of articulation up in the neck and head. So at the top of the head, we have a ball joint, and then we have a hinge. I do have some paint flaking off there, but there's a nice hinge there. And then there's a ball joint at the base of the neck. I wish there was a little more action at the base of the neck because I don't get a lot of movement there. But yeah, so like because of that hinge, it can look down really far, it can look up quite a bit. And because of the ball joint, you can kind of cock it side to side a little bit, and then you can twist it all the way around. And then in the shoulder, you have a nice butterfly joint, and that's a place where it's loose. I imagine that's something they're working on tightening up is in those butterfly joints, at least on the right side over here. The left side seems okay. And then, so with that butterfly joint, you can pretty much get him into a cross arm pose depending on what hands you have, you could probably have him crossing his arms. And between the hinge and the butterfly, he can swing his arm back that far, cross this far, all the way around. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, twist at the wrist, and a horizontal hinge at that wrist as well. So if you want him posing in a muscle pose, there you have it. In the upper torso, there's a double ball joint. I hope he adds a little more range coming forward, because this is fairly limited, especially when you only have a twist at the waist. But, you know, with that range, he can go side to side as well, and he can arch back decently. Just going forward, I'd like to see a little more range there. And like I said, there's a twist at the waist, there's a ball joint at the hip, and mine's also a little bit loose, and he can kick forward and back. There's a twist at the top of the thigh. You have a double jointed knee, and again, pinless articulation. You can see the pins here, but that's actually under the plastic. It's just because it's clear. And you have a hinge at the ankle, and then you have a nice ankle rocker. Pretty much like your modern super articulation with butterfly joints, double elbows, diaphragm articulation, double knees, and ankle rockers and all that stuff. So, you know, I think these things move really well, and if they tweak things and get them to have a little more range up in that upper torso, maybe the base of the neck, I think it's going to be really fun to pose these things around, especially the demons and sort of the more extreme characters like angels and stuff like that. Going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks again to Jeff and Erica for picking these up for me. Remember, D13 Toys, it's a small new company. If you're interested in any of their stuff right now, unless you did the Kickstarter, you probably could go to like Big Bad Toy Store. I think Nerdzoic might have them as well. So a couple different vendors will have these for pre-order. But yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time, may the force be with you.